My dad was born in the spring of 1916. His father before him was a botanist, an inventor of sorts, who introduced the whole family to the wonders of nature. Whenever we asked Grandpa a question like, "Why are there so many bugs in the world?" he'd preface his answer with something like, "Well, 200 million years before the birth of Christ." It got to be a joke among us. Maybe it was his way of making us think before asking dumb questions. Dad was a scholar. Both his parents worked long hours at jobs they didn't enjoy to send him and his brother Bruce to fine schools. Dad met my mom while they were students at Oberlin College. She says she first saw him up in a tree limb. Mom was a tomboy and climbed a lot of trees, so I guess that impressed her. His good looks were compelling, but I think she was a bit taken back by his naivety. He was like no other man she'd ever met. He couldn't dance. He acted as if he'd never been on a date before. Their first outing together was a ride in the cabin of a steam locomotive pulling freight to Elyria, Ohio. Dad did real well at Oberlin and went on to graduate school at Cornell University. He began a career as a college professor, while Mom worked as a secretary for a farmer's co-op. Her last paycheck from that company bounced, she told me once. Times were hard and the effects of the Great Depression were still all around. My sister Helen was born just before the Great War, and everyone secretly hoped it would keep Dad from the draft. But when the fighting began, Dad enlisted. They put him in the Signal Corps, where he learned how to break enemy codes because he knew German. I once asked him how many codes he was able to break. He replied, none. It must have been frustrating. I know he was good at it. All I know is I could never stump him with the codes me and my buddy Stevie Himlin invented after school. Mom said it was awful watching Dad go to war. She was sure she'd never see him again. In his letters from war, Dad condemned the Germans. He wrote how they should forever be the slaves of Europe, which is kind of ironic. Later in his life as a diplomat, Dad spent his whole life trying to rebuild Germany and unify Europe in the common market. I was born right after the war and Annie came a couple of years later. Dad had a way of making each of us kids feel like they were his favorite. When he wasn't working at his new job at the State Department, he would build us wonderful things out of wood. A log cabin playhouse, a wooden castle with a cannon that shot marbles at my tin soldiers off the ramparts. Each Saturday, Dad would take just one of us off for a whole day alone with him. We called it expedition. The word still conjures up adventure and mystery. For me, it was a trip to the Smithsonian or to a mosque to drink mint tea and listen to the Muslim call to prayer. We joined the Appalachian Trail Club and our family hiked back to rustic cabins along the Blue Ridge Mountains. Dad loved to walk and hike wild trails with people he loved.
Down in the valley so low.
One winter night in 1955, he came home from work with news that would forever change our family life. We're going to live in France. On our first transatlantic crossing, we spotted whales off the deck and even a monstrous iceberg drifting down from the polar ice cap. Over the next 10 years, we'd crossed the Atlantic many times on those long-gone steamships. Dad hated airplanes, and we kids and Mom adapted effortlessly to the pampered elegance that Queen Mary offered. On that first winter crossing, Dad arranged for us to take a tour of the SS America's great engine room. We spent a wide-eyed morning exploring the bowels of that great ship. Nowadays, I heard that boat lies rusting, pounding in the surf somewhere off West Africa. Our life in Paris was vastly different than our little house in Virginia. At first, Annie and I were miserable in Paris, but Dad and Mom saw to it that we lived as Europeans.
Allez, venez, Milord, vous asseoir à ma table. Il fait si froid dehors. Ici c'est confortable.
Our summers were full of adventures exploring the provinces and historical sites of France. Dad was assigned back to Washington and rented a 400-acre farm in Maryland. He worked weekends constructing a dam so Annie and I could float the small boat he had built among our pet ducks. We grew our own food, raised farm animals. Although I never saw my father on a horse, he greatly supported our interest in riding. While still in their mid-40s, Mom and Dad had a fourth child, Jeannie. Once again, our lives were thrown in flux. About the same time, Helen went off to school in Oberlin College, and the family all moved to live in Europe again, this time in Brussels.
The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. But when I woke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Dad retired from the diplomatic corps while still a young man and in good health, and in the winter of 1972, he and Mom bought their home in Ashfield, Massachusetts. Dad bestowed on each of his 7 grandchildren the same affection he had given to my sisters and me.
Well, I woke up today and found frost perched on the town. It hovered in a frozen sky, gobbled summer down. When the sun turned straight and cold, and shivering trees standing in the naked road, I get the urge for going, but I never seem to go. I had someone in the summertime with summer-colored skin, and not another one in town my darling's heart could win. When the leaves fell tumbling down, and bully winds did rub their faces in the snow, he got the urge for going, and I had to let him go. Well, he got the urge for going when meadow grasses are turning brown, summertime is a falling down, winter's closing in. The warriors of winter gave a cold, triumphant shout. All that stays is dying, and all that lives is getting out. You see the geese in chevron flight, a flapping and a racing on before the snow.
Papa, Papa, Papa.
to see our boat?
Papa!
You, of course, you're not very important right now.
Well, I help hang things together. I bet it was hot down in Northampton. Yeah, it's just really, you're being recorded for all time. Look at the old lady who, Russ, come take Grandma's arm so you can get in this movie.
All right.
Who walked right by him and never had to say hello.
You know me. Fresco.
Say woof, woof.
I can remember the days.
Yeah.
Jean.
Yeah, oh yeah, sometimes. She got very embarrassed.
Dad now also had time to pursue his two great passions in life, gardening and weather.
We're getting the tag end of Hurricane David. They call it the tag end, but we just got 50 miles an hour wind on my wind gauge. And the transformer blew in front of the house. All refrigerators and freezers are closed for the duration. And I haven't measured the water yet, but it's going to be enormous, I'm sure, before it's through.
Ain't nothing in the world that I like better than bacon and lettuce and homegrown tomatoes. Up in the morning and out in the garden, get your ripe one, don't get a hard one. Plant 'em in the spring, eat 'em in the summer. All winter without 'em's a culinary bummer. I forgot all about the sweating and the digging every time I go out and pick me a big one. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Well, you can go out to eat, and that's for sure, but there's nothing that a homegrown tomato won't cure. Put 'em in a salad, put 'em in a stew. You can make your own very own tomato juice. You can eat 'em with eggs and eat 'em with gravy. You can eat 'em with beans, pinto or navy. Put 'em on the side, put 'em in the middle. A homegrown tomato on a hot cake griddle. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Oh, I had a horse, and his name was Bill, and when he ran, he couldn't stand still. He ran away one day, and also I ran with him. He ran so fast he could not stop. He ran into a barber shop and fell exhaustionized with his eye teeth in the barber's left shoulder.
Just one hand, everybody. I'll do another one quick, see if we can get another hand.
Right hand.
Right hand red.
Oh, yellow.
Yellow it is, yes, yellow. Start again, Heather.
Right hand blue. Oh, hard.
Ready? Left foot red.
I got it.
Ready? Another one. Left hand yellow. Left hand yellow. Can't have your behind on the floor.
Dad could never carry a tune. We kids speculated that maybe he was tone deaf, but that never stopped him from enjoying the music created by those he loved.
They got the urge for going, and they got the wings to go. There it is.
Catch! Woo! Here it comes. Woo! Woo! You throw one at me. Woo! What a mean grandma. Now let's pull Jean. I'll sit on Jean's lap. Here you go. I'm gonna take him over the golf course. Come on, there we go.
There's a nice little hill right here. It's like an old-fashioned movie.
Nay.
Dad and Mom bought a 70-acre woodlot near their home. As a boy, Dad had once fished for native brown trout in the small brook that ran through the steep valley. Dad named the woods after the old wooden red gate that guarded the entrance by the main road. The trails he blazed were useful for family hikes, horseback rides, or maybe a winter snowshoeing adventure. Early on, he built a 3-sided hut on the north slope of the ravine next to a year-round spring, which became the perfect site for a Saturday picnic or maybe an overnight campout. A simple logbook hangs on the back wall of Redgate Cabin and records the thoughts and thanks of family, friends, and strangers upon visiting this shady refuge simply known as Redgate.
We are going now, at this moment in time, to Redgate. Redgate is waiting us.
Okay, I did. Oh, good girl. How nice
Power mold? Cool.
We've got it right up here is a
The nest. As we
nest
look
of a
around,
hawk.
This is the cabin Russell Fessenden built 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And they took all the wood up here, a horse dragging it, right, Daddy?
Mom noticed changes in Dad. Something was tapping his boundless energy and strength. After he suffered a bad fall on the stairs of his home, Dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and before long he was bedridden. A short time later, he could not walk on his own. The doctors told Mom the end was near, and about the same time the Gulf War loomed in the news, Dad was hospitalized, and the family summoned to say goodbye. As it turned out, we underestimated Dad's spirit to live, and he survived almost a decade longer thanks to the loving help of family and caregivers.
I awoke today and found the frost perched on the town. It hovered in a frozen sky, then it gobbled summer down. When the sun turns straight and cold and all the trees are shivering in a naked roll, I get the urge for going, but I never seem to go.
My sister told me what happened on the day Dad died, on that stormy first Sunday in March. Anna wrote, "We lit the room only with candles. We sat and stroked and caressed him, kissed his cold marble skin for the final time. We stood on the porch weeping as they wheeled him down the front walk for the last time. It was bitter cold, but Jack and I followed and gave him the Ashfield send-off, just as Dad used to do, waving and waving for as long as the hearse was visible."
The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over city and harbor on silent haunches, and then moves on.